The time has finally arrived. It is time for the Buffalo Bills pregame show. The Bills taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers in Orchard Park, New York. Not just on any other day, not just on any other night, but Sunday night football. For me personally, I appreciate Sunday night football more than Monday night football. You got Al Michaels behind the microphone. Chris Collinsworth, he's hit or miss. I like Chris Collinsworth, but Al Michaels is my guy. Al Michaels is one of those commentators that I have always admired. Ryan Thomas here, live on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast for the Week 14 Buffalo Bills pregame show as the Bills take on the Pittsburgh Steelers, as I mentioned, in Orchard Park, New York. Honestly, I'm not as hyped for this game as I should be, and I think it's due to the fact that for this one in particular, we won't be seeing fans in the stands, and when the Bills' season schedule was released, I was looking to go to this game. This was a game that I really wanted to go to. This was a game that I circled, albeit December 13th, but this was a game that I really wanted to go to. This is a matchup between the Steelers and Bills that the Steelers have been one of the prominent teams in the AFC really throughout their entire franchise history. But in this millennium, post-2000, the Steelers have been one of the gold standard franchises that the Buffalo Bills have aspired to become. So this is another measuring stick of an opponent for the Buffalo Bills to test themselves against. And the Bills are riding high, coming off that win over the San Francisco 49ers last week on Monday Night Football. Let's hope they can carry that momentum from Monday night into Sunday night. And this guy right here on the jersey, Josh Allen, can put together a second consecutive impressive performance against a very, very tough Pittsburgh Steelers defense. The Pittsburgh Steelers have one of the best pass defenses in the National Football League. Their secondary is one of the top secondaries in the league. It is the identity of their team, and I truly believe that will be a tough nut to crack for the Buffalo Bills offense tonight. They will have their fair share of moments against the Buffalo Bills tonight. This is going to be a close game. I'll start off by saying that before I dive into what I call the keys to victory. But I don't know about you guys. I have been waiting all day for Sunday night football. It feels like this day has lasted 2 days long waiting for this Buffalo Bills game. Very much looking forward to this one. As I always say, fire off your comments in the comments section below. You are probably tuning in on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter on Periscope at Ryan Thomas Take as well. You guys will be listening to this pregame show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Those are the major podcasting platforms that the Thomas Take Sports Podcast is available on. So, keys to victory for the Buffalo Bills in this one. This is going to be an extremely tough game. I will not lie to you under any stretch of the imagination. I am bluntly honest, brutally honest sometimes on this show, and I will tell it like it is. This is going to be an extremely tough game. I think that this is a great matchup, though. It's almost like the sequel in terms of difficulty that this matchup provides this Buffalo Bills team. I wouldn't have it any other way. The fact that the Buffalo Bills just put on quite an impressive performance this past week against the San Francisco 49ers. It was a game that I was just over the moon with, and a game nonetheless that I personally felt was Josh Allen's best game in his career. So can Josh Allen put together another professional, impressive performance against the Pittsburgh Steelers? We will see. But I think a lot of things have to fall into place for that to happen. And in particular, this game on the defensive side of the ball for the Buffalo Bills is extremely important. This Pittsburgh Steelers offense is a well-faceted offense, a well-versed offense, an offense that can spread things out. They are 3 or 4 wide as far as their wide receivers. Juju Smith-Schuster, a solid wide receiver. Deontay Johnson, as well as Chase Claypool, a guy that I wanted Buffalo to really go after in this past year's draft. Notre Dame Fighting Irish's Notre Dame alum, and Chase Claypool. Really loved him in the 2020 NFL draft class. Looked at him as a possible piece to the puzzle for the Buffalo Bills, but he goes to Pittsburgh. And he's had a pretty up and down year. He's had moments where he's been really, really good. He's had moments where he's been so-so. And he's had games where he's frankly just downright disappeared. So the fact that we are here this late in the season, knowing that this is going to be such a big matchup for the Buffalo Bills, this is such a huge test, right? This is the test of all tests, I think, that the Bills have faced. Just when I think that last week's matchup was one of their tougher matchups going into the game, I talk about this Pittsburgh Steelers matchup and say at 11-1, the Steelers are coming off of a loss, their first loss of the season to the Washington football team. If you ask me, did I expect that to happen? No, I did not. I did not expect the Washington football team to be a problem for our Buffalo Bills, but not for our Buffalo Bills, for the opponent, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm seeing some comments trickle in here, so I'm getting distracted. But I will get to your comments. What are some of the keys to victory for this game that I think could most definitely lead the Buffalo Bills to victory in this one? And I think these keys to victory, dare I say it, these keys to victory might be my best keys to victory for the Buffalo Bills season in any game, going into any game. I think these are the three best keys to victory that I have to offer. So number 3, I'm going to go 3-2-1. Number 3, my third biggest key to victory is to pressure Big Ben Roethlisberger. As you know, without throwing any shade on Big Ben, as tough as it is to say, Big Ben is one hell of a quarterback. I'm not going to throw shade on Big Ben, but I will say that Big Ben isn't what he once was, right? He's not as fast as he once was. He was never fast, but not as nimble as he once was in the pocket, and has suffered a ton of injuries over the course of his career. With that comes a statue version of Big Ben in the pocket. If this Buffalo Bills team can finally generate some pressure on Big Ben, in particular in this game, I think that will be a recipe for success, creating short drives and putting their hot offense back out on the field. Let's face it, this Buffalo Bills offense is one of the hottest offenses in the National Football League. I believe that we have an opportunity to pressure Big Ben and to get to the quarterback, because no team throws hardly as much as the Steelers, the Chiefs, and, of course, our Buffalo Bills. So with that will come more pass attempts week in, week out. We've seen it week in, week out for the 11-1 Steelers. Big Ben drops back just as much as anybody. They put Big Ben in shotgun just as much as anybody in the NFL. I want to see the Buffalo Bills generate pressure on a quarterback for the first time really all season long. That is a facet of their defense that I don't think we have seen enough in terms of actually getting to the quarterback. Pressure, yeah, pressure. They've been able to achieve pressure, but actually getting to the quarterback, bringing down the quarterback, pressure and bringing them down, two different things, but it has to start with pressure. With pressure comes mistakes, and we have to force the Steelers to make some mistakes tonight. Number 2 key to victory, the Bills must establish the run game early. The run game opens up the pass in 13 games, week 14, and we're heading into week 14. I can honestly say that there are only 2 weeks this entire season when the Buffalo Bills have been able to establish a solid, legitimate run game. 2 or 3 weeks where they've been able to establish a solid run game. Devin Singletary and Zach Moss can be a great tandem when established early. In those 2 cases where Singletary and Moss were able to run efficiently throughout the entirety of those 2 games, they established those 2 players specifically early, Singletary and Moss. I want to see that happen again. If we can establish the run, if we can run on this Pittsburgh Steelers defense, and I believe attacking the Steelers via the run game is the way to go early on in this game. It'll open up the pass and wear down their defense. If we go out like we have these last few weeks and throw on the Steelers, I know that is somewhat now the identity of this Buffalo Bills offense. I know that just as well as anyone, but this Steelers secondary, albeit banged up, it's still a pretty darn good secondary. I would like to see us embrace the run a little bit early and then open things up via the passing game. That's what I would hope to see from the Buffalo Bills early on in this one. Must establish the run game early, keep that Steelers offense off the field, win that time of possession battle in the first half. You're putting your defense in a better situation come the second half, that third quarter, that dreaded third quarter. I think a lot of the Bills' troubles in the third quarter are due to the fact that their defense is just so tired from the first half. Part of the reason, among the many reasons, but I think that could be a key factor to beat a very physical Steelers offense and a very physical Steelers defense in this game. As well as the Bills establishing the run, I think the number one key to victory, oddly enough, for the Buffalo Bills in this game is on the defensive side of the ball, forcing the Steelers to run on the opposite end. The Steelers have to be forced to run by the Buffalo Bills. Force the Steelers to run. The Steelers are going to try to come out. They're going to try to pass early. That's the identity of their team, much like Buffalo. And oddly enough, these two teams are built in very similar fashion. So to think that, I believe, just based on what I've seen from both of these teams all season long, they have to try to beat each other in somewhat opposite of ways. The Bills have to force the Steelers to run. The Steelers, if the Bills are forced to pass early on, the Steelers can force some mistakes. They have the pressure packages. They have the front seven that is one of the better front sevens in the AFC and one of the better front sevens in the NFL. So I look at this game kind of opposite for the Bills and kind of somewhat opposite for the Steelers. But if Buffalo can force the Steelers to run the football, the Steelers, in their franchise history, Franco Harris, Jerome Bettis, to name a couple running backs in the Steelers franchise, they are known for somewhat having this gritty style of football. This Steelers team is not like that. They are a flashier version of the Pittsburgh Steelers than the Steelers of years past. The Steelers are not known as a running team this year. And if the Bills can force them out of their comfort zone and force them to run, I think that would be very advantageous. James Conner is back in the lineup tonight. So, for fantasy football players out there, I don't like to start guys against the Bills when you're left with so few options. Sometimes desperate times call for desperate measures. But I truly believe that James Conner could be the key to this game via, win or loss for the Buffalo Bills. If James Conner has a great day, could be an L for the Buffalo Bills. If James Conner has a bad night, could be a W for the Buffalo Bills. Very interesting in that facet of the Steelers team, that they're just not really built typically, the same way that they have over the course of their franchise history. So Ryan Berger says, "Let's go Buffalo." Love the hat. You got "Let's go Bills, let's go Bills." I'm all on board with that "Let's go Buffalo" mentality. This is a real big game. This is a really tough game on paper for Buffalo. I don't think this is a game that is as easy as some would like to admit, or as easy as some would hope to admit, because this is a tough instance. We have a team coming here that's coming off of a loss that, frankly, they shouldn't have had. It was a blimp in the radar. I'm shocked that it happened. And with that, my first thought process, seeing that the Steelers lost to the Washington football team, was that, they're going to be coming to Buffalo, to Orchard Park, New York, guns blazing, a little bit pissed off, a little bit frustrated, a little bit on edge. And that could be troublesome for the Buffalo Bills. But I do see the Bills winning this game. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think it's going to be a very entertaining game. And I think it's going to be a game that Josh Allen is going to have to win for us. And there's going to have to be a clutch play where Josh Allen puts it all together for Buffalo right at the tail end of this game. I think Buffalo is going to win in a come-behind victory. They're down 24-21. Josh Allen fires it off to Gabe Davis in the end zone. The Bills win this one. Gabe Davis is the rookie hero. On to next week. And Buffalo wins this one 28-24, continuing to put the NFL on notice and continuing to put the national media essentially on blast, making them eat crow for all the ridiculous statements that they said about the Bills leading up to the season, and all the ridiculous statements that they've said about the Bills post their loss to Arizona. Had that loss not happened, the Bills would be the hottest team in the NFL right now with 6 straight wins. And, I think this is going to be a victory for the Bills. I think there will be some ugly moments. The Bills have to play this game extremely disciplined. And I think that this is going to be a game where you got two real good coaches in this one between Mike Tomlin and Sean McDermott. I think two of the better coaches in the AFC, along with Kansas City Chiefs head coach Andy Reid. There is a reason why the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Steelers are probably the three best teams in the AFC right now, and it is because of the men up top, the coaches, the staff, scouts, coordinators, position coaches, you name it, all the way up to the top, ownership down. All three of these teams are very solid organizations right now as they stand in the NFL and in the AFC. I think those are the three best teams in the AFC right now. I don't think many people could disagree with me on that. I know the Steelers. I was going to say Ravens. I know the Steelers just lost to the Washington football team, but they're still one of the better teams in the AFC. So for Buffalo to, come away from this game with a win, I think it would amplify the just positivity that is surrounding the career that has been and the career that will be number 17, Josh Allen. He's only going to get better from here. This is another game where I truly believe that he's going to take that next step. There's going to be moments where he's going to have to make some clutch decisions out there in this game. This front seven in Pittsburgh is fearsome. Stephon Tuitt, dynamic. TJ Watt, dare I say this, I think TJ Watt is actually better than JJ Watt in certain facets of his game. He's a little bit more versatile. So we'll see. We'll see what happens out there. But the show's got to be made. Got to put the pregame show out there. Got to get the take out there as far as how this game is going to go down, how I see it going down, and do I think the Bills will win? Yes, I think the Bills will win, as you guys see on the banner there. And obviously, to run down the keys to victory just quickly here, forcing the Steelers to run is key number one for me. Forcing the Steelers to run is essential. Key to victory number two, the Bills must establish their own version of their run game early on in this one, and the defense has to pressure Big Ben. When the Steelers want to go back to the well of doing what they do best and firing the ball to 4 different targets on one drive, or 6 or 7 different targets on one drive, that's when you have an opportunity to pressure Big Ben. Nobody throws as much as the Steelers, Chiefs, and Bills do. I think that's actually an advantage for Buffalo heading into this one defensively. Get to Big Ben, pressure Big Ben, and make plays. I will be on for the Bills Thomas Take Sports Podcast Buffalo Bills halftime report. Stay tuned and go Bills. Let's enjoy the game tonight, everybody.